Hey everybody, we are back and we're on our way to, where are we going?
Cape Disappointment.
Cape Disappointment State Park. It's down on the very southwestern edge of Washington State, just on the northern side of the Columbia River. So if you look directly across the Columbia, you will see Astoria, Oregon, which is also a cool little town. There's a couple of lighthouses down here and an old World War II bunker. So it should be a lot of cool things to look at. So we have made it to Cape Disappointment State Park. The campground is off that way, and there's a huge section of park that way, and we're just about to go up and check out something called Battery 247. This is also part of the Lewis and Clark Trail. Right now we're headed up to Mackenzie Head, which after crossing Cape Disappointment, Captain Clark of the Lewis and Clark expedition and a small crew went up to Mackenzie Head here to scout out the area. This is probably an ammunition vault right here with the big steel blast doors and capability to lock. I'm guessing that's where the munitions were stored at some point. Something about it, I'm pretty sure this used to be a bathroom. Remnants of where the sinks and toilets would have been. And a little bit of ductwork for a fan system. To me, it looks like it might be part of an elevator shaft, which wouldn't surprise me too much. They had a lot of underground stuff as well. And tunnels that connected the different battlements together. This big round pit right here would be what would have housed the large artillery that was capable of firing at ships way out there in the Pacific Ocean. It's the guards' lookout. The guards could stand in there and look out and keep an eye on the Pacific. We just caught the nice sunset here, looking right out on the Pacific Ocean. This is what Lewis and Clark would have seen back in 1805, and what the soldiers that were manning this lookout post here would have seen each night while they were keeping an eye on the Pacific Ocean. So, of course, we're also avid hikers, and so anytime we go somewhere camping, we're always looking for somewhere where we can get our little bit of a hike in. There is a nice little trail here called North Head Trail, and it goes to the North Head Lighthouse. It's about 1.5 miles, and the trail gets a little muddy, I hear, so off we go. These two beautiful buildings were the Lightkeeper's House and a guest house. Currently, they are now open to be rented out for parties and special occasions, and popular for honeymooners. We are now at North Head Lighthouse, and we were here, I think, exactly 2 years ago, and the weather then was a little less favorable than it is now. It was raining sideways, it was super windy, and it was pretty damn cold, as I recall, too. Quite a big difference than it is today. It's almost like summer. The North Head Lighthouse was constructed in 1897 after sailors complained that the Cape Disappointment Lighthouse on the mouth of the Columbia was obscured to mariners coming in from the north. Good morning, everybody. It's day 2 here, and it's another beautiful day. And in fact, the sun is right behind me, so you may not even be able to see me right now. But today, or at least right now, we're going to go out on a ride. And this is something you haven't seen on this channel before. It's really popular when people go camping, bring things like bicycles and something like that. And even more popular nowadays are things like scooters and e-bikes and such. Well, we're not normal people. We ride electric unicycles. I'm also using a 360 camera, which is something you haven't seen on this channel yet, which does this. And so here we are. We are at, I always screw up the name because there's so many similar.
Cape Disappointment.
Cape Disappointment. And I'm not really sure why it's called that, but I feel a voiceover coming on. So we are off on the Discovery Trail, which is a 7.5-ish mile trail that runs from North Head and North Head Lighthouse all the way into the small town of Long Beach. Cape Disappointment was named such on July 6, 1788 by British fur trader John Maris. He was sailing down from Canada and mistook the mouth of the Columbia River for a bay. Shortly after this, explorer Francisco Morel discovered that it was in fact the mouth of the mighty Columbia River. The beautiful Discovery Trail we're on now is part of a path that Lewis and Clark expedition actually took when coming down the Washington coastline. Much later, in 1880, a man named Henry Tinker bought a plot of land here and planted a town called Tinkerville. However, in January 1922, the town of Long Beach, Washington was officially incorporated. It was once an important depot for trade and logging. Now it's primarily a tourist town, boasting a population of just over 1,400. Hey everybody, here's one cool thing about these things too, is how damn quiet they are. Sometimes when you're just out ripping through nature, you can listen to things just like this. Good morning, everybody. It is day 3, and it's Sunday morning, and it just happens to be Super Bowl Sunday. Super. Capitalism's weird, isn't it? Anyway, one of the big things about being here on the Pacific Ocean is something we haven't showed you yet, and that's the beach. Washington beaches aren't most noted for having nice, beautiful, sandy beaches, and in most areas that's true. But this section, right along the kind of southern end of the coast, we do have some nice sandy beaches. Those are sandpipers, and they just love all the little shrimp and things that get washed in by the waves. The waves wash up and wash something in, they run out there and get it real quick and then run back out before they get their feet wet. And she thinks they're funny as hell.
They're so cute.
And there they go. It's like a little dance. They rush out, gobble, 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 and then come running back.
They are so cute. Sandpipers.
You had a golf club.
You got the Goonies cave?
Yeah.
There are pirates in there. treasure chests.
Secret entrance.
Oh, I think I see a chest. Nope, nothing. Guess you gotta go to work tomorrow. So we're out just for one last little hurrah before we leave the place behind, and just like that, in the last 10 minutes, the fog is rolling in and the sun is hiding, and we picked the perfect weekend to come out. Tomorrow is supposed to be rain. So we just wheeled up here to part of old Fort Canby, and this area was kind of a lookout fort in the World War II era. And this part's open to public to peek around in. Fort Canby has a very long military history, dating all the way back to the Civil War period. It was first established in 1863. The mouth of the Columbia River has always been heavily protected because it's long been considered a very, very vital part to access in the mainland of Washington and Oregon for trade, commerce, and military reasons. Another turret there, maybe they had like a radar thing up there. After the Civil War, however, the fort was a bit neglected.
Following the breakout of World War I, the fort was recommissioned and received many upgrades.
However, following World War I, the fort was put back into caretaker status, but was once again recommissioned in 1941. During World War II, Fort Canby was a very important outpost, keeping an eye on the mouth of the Columbia River as well as the Pacific Oceans. Its radar facilities, communication capabilities, and of course armaments were a very important part of what was known as the Triangle of Fire. And in 1947, the fort was finally completely deactivated and retired. The U.S. Coast Guard now maintains the 2 lighthouses, as well as having one of the largest search and rescue facilities on the Pacific coast, as well as maintaining weather systems, environmental systems, and of course surveillance capabilities. Well, reality hits and it's time to get back to the city and back to regular life as we know it, unfortunately. But we had a really, really nice weekend. The weather was amazing for mid-February, sunny and 60 degrees. You couldn't ask for more, especially on the ocean. So what did you think of the campground and how would you rate it and why?
I would rate the sites at like a 5, but the overall campground and the experience, I would say a 9, because there's a lot to do, a lot to see. We could hike in Uni and see lighthouses, all like one small area. It was cool. I'd go back.
Okay, and yeah, I agree. There was a lot to see and a lot to do. Beautiful area, definitely worth a revisit. And yeah, I would say I would give the spots maybe a 6 or a 6.5. We do appreciate having a little more space and a little more privacy between the spots, but especially on the ocean, that's really hard to find. But yeah, the campground as itself, yeah, I'd go with 9. A lot to see and do. It was very clean. It was very well cared for, and the fuzz, well, I think you would give it a 2 paws up. All right, guys. See you next time.